Hello and welcome to the Temple of Nuit Cancer New Moon reading. My name is Yvonne Wildheart and I come to you from Jojo Wurrung Country in Central Highlands, Victoria. I am recording this on the 6th of July 2024. So all time shown in these charts will it be Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you live somewhere else in this great earth of ours, please adjust this time to your time zone so you can get a better feel for what is happening on the land in which you live on. So, here in Australian Eastern Standard Time, the new moon happened at 8:57 this morning at 14 degrees of Cancer. Cancer is the sign of cardinal water, the womb waters of the Great Mother. It is the drop of rain that goes into the creek, that moves into the rivers, that flows into the deep lake for Scorpio, that moves and transforms and opens up to the vastness of the ocean of Pisces. And then it comes back into the shoreline to become Cancer and cardinal water again. It is exactly where the symbol, the animal for Cancer resides, on the shoreline, the crab that lives between two worlds and has its home on its back that will only come out when it feels safe. But it straddles the water of this intuitive, watery feeling, and but also the earth, the sandbar, the matter that holds us here on this earth where we walk as humans. So this movement between land and water and feeling of, you know, being moving with the tides and flowing, and just thinking of the ruler of this Cancer new moon is actually the moon. The moon is in its home sign, and the Cancer in the moon flows, it ebbs and flows. It's like we see it in its fullness at the full moon, and then it comes back and we can't see it again at the new moon. And new moons are all about starting the new cycle, moving into the new phase for the next 4 weeks. It is the dreaming, especially Cancer. It's really interesting because Cancer is the chart. So Cancer rising, it is the beginning of the universe. It's the chart of the Athea Mundi. It's the beginning of all things. That is the chart of everything, the whole shebang of the whole universe is the Cancer rising chart. This is where it all begins. And we also see that here in the Southern Hemisphere, because as soon as the sun moves into Cancer here in the Southern Hemisphere, we begin a new 12-month cycle at winter solstice. So we are in this phase of new cycles for not only the next 4 weeks, but also the new cycle for the next 12 months here in the Southern Hemisphere. So this is a time of great dreaming. What do you want to see happen for the next 12 months? What do you want to see happen for the next 4 weeks? This is powerful spellcrafting time. So, so powerful. And what we also hear, so what also happened in the lead up to this new moon, which is after what happened after solstice, we had such Saturn here, station retrograde here at 19 degrees of Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, also a water sign. It's the mutable water. And Neptune also station retrograde. So this retrograde energy is like an optical illusion. So from Earth, which is where the chart begins, which is the center of the chart, is Earth here. This is where we are. And if we're looking up and we're seeing Saturn in the sky and we're tracking it, we will see that it looks like Saturn is moving backwards, but it actually isn't. We know that. But the energy, how the energy hits the earth, and this is why we see it that way, is this great retrograde energy of reviewing, of revising, of remembering what happens when Saturn is in unbounded time, the Lord of time. It's when the planet, so when a planet is retrograde, it's when the planet is closest to the Earth. So there's an emphasis. It's where it's the strongest. And this is going to continue right through until October, November, and for Neptune into December. This energy of revision and revising for Saturnian energy, which is all about, leadership, eldership. It's about responsibility. It's about discipline. But in Pisces, it's also, the Lord of time that's unbounded time. And it feels like Saturn, opening up portals to different timelines. And it feels like this opportunity that we're being given to do a lot of healing and to be able to move energy through time backwards and forwards to bring a good future of our dreams. Neptune is all about the dreaming and what we like what we can't see, illusions, but it's also the higher octave of Venus. So it's like this supercharged higher love if we choose it, if we choose that timeline. Um, and moving it through the portals of time forward and back. And this is not always going to be the case because, over the next few years, we're going to see Saturn and Neptune move into Aries, which is cardinal fire. It's the start of the zodiac. It's the beginning of something new. So it's completely different energy to what Saturn and Neptune brings into Pisces. It feels more. It feels like the portals close, or they're less accessible than what we are now. So it feels like this opportunity to really bring some healing and to move it through the timelines, but also the good dreams of what we want to see. How do we want to our future generations, and what kind of world do we want to leave them? What type of world do we want to, for them to live and thrive in? And, just thinking of that mother energy, this Cancer energy at this Cancer new moon, is this deep nourishment that is here available for us. If we are willing to do the work, if we are willing to do the work of healing. And what we have here at this Cancer new moon is a square and a 90-degree angle between Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries. So thinking of that, the self and this pain of, you know, that this identity that Chiron and Aries brings, like this wounding around who we are, squaring Venus at 22 degrees Cancer, which is just after this new moon. And Cancer, Venus in Cancer wants to nourish, it wants to nurture, it wants to love, it wants to make sure that everybody is fed well and nourished well and looked after. Just thinking of Cancer, the body part is the breast, making sure that everybody's fed and nourished. And that's tricky when Chiron's here. There could be some wounding that comes up around the mother wound. The mother wound is actually really strong because it couples with the feminine wounding that we have in our Western culture. And so to allow this opportunity with Chiron coming up to say, oh, that really hurts, and I wasn't nourished as a child as I wanted to be, or, my mother, something happened to my mother and her mother and her mother, and now it's come to me, and I have to hold this and work through this if I choose to. And this is where Chiron, the wounded healer, and that's a clue, gives us this opportunity to allow these sore bits to come up, to be healed, and then we become the healer of that energy. So, if you're feeling that, if you're feeling the mother wound coming up about, around, self identity, and not feeling that you didn't, not feeling that you received the nourishment that maybe that you were expecting coming in as that bright spark. The opportunity to invite this healing in through body work, or even doing a ritual around to allow the energy to move out, to be expelled through tears, or automatic writing, or journal entries, and throw it in the fire, or whatever you do, whatever tools that you use to work through this. This is a great opportunity to heal these mother wounds. The stories that, thinking, we were from the egg, you know, in our grandmother's womb when our mother was a fetus. So whatever was happening for our grandmother during the pregnancy of our mother, we hold that as well. So, and I think I spoke about this in the Capricorn full moon reading last time, about these generational healings that here at this intensity of this 90-degree angle, this square between Cancer and Venus and Chiron in Aries, is opening up a portal for us to do this work. And with Saturn and Neptune here in retrograde, this remembering, this reviewing process, that we can work through this, and not just for ourselves, but for the past and for the future, which allows the bigger dreams to come through. When we clear stagnant energy that it's been passed down to us. And once it's gone, we're able to see something that maybe we haven't seen before, some bright dreaming that is all of a sudden possible, that wasn't feeling possible when that blockage or that pain was there. So this feels like a very powerful time, not only, as I said, the start of a 4-week cycle, a lunar cycle, but also a 12-month cycle here in the Southern Hemisphere, to really bring in some clear intentions for a future, that is a good future. What also we've got here is this Mars and Uranus forming. So Mars is going to conjunct Uranus. So Uranus and Mars together. So Mars, the warrior, he drives action. In Taurus, he's like, getting things done, but he's like, it can be the raging bull, possibly because of the frustration of how slow, the energy is in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed earth, which is great if you allow time for things to happen, but frustration and anger can rise really quickly if you're trying to rush things. And with Uranus here, this happens on the 15th of July. So a couple of weeks after this new moon, this tension that's going to get stronger and stronger out in the world. Uranus is the planet of sudden changes. It is the higher octave of Mercury. It will suddenly move things that are not working, or it can be sudden shocks and surprises, but also revolution, if we choose to look at it that way. So this is a time of deep trust, trusting whatever Mars and Uranus is going to suddenly take away from us, trusting that is for the highest good of all, even if it doesn't feel that way. And that's when, if we come back to this witness perspective and look at the charts, and to trust the timing of everything, trust that it is all preordained, at this time. It's like what we choose to do with this information is the key. We have this map. We know that sudden changes are here. They could possibly happen. Things could be taken away from us. Things can be suddenly, shifted in our worlds. But trusting this timing, and to keep the cosmic perspective of this to help it move, because if it's been taken away, or if it's changing, it's for the highest good of all, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. And that can be really rough. But coming back to the cosmic perspective, to look at it from the lens of, okay, so obviously this is not working. This hasn't worked in my life. I don't know why, but and maybe we don't have the answers at all. In just thinking also, at this time of year in the Southern Hemisphere, this is the beginning. This is like the seed under the ground. Like we can't see it, it's hidden. And especially with this retrograde energy, Chiron's about to go retrograde too by the end of the month. So that there's an energy of, you know, things that are being reviewed, revised, repeated, but it's stuff that we might not see. So trusting the greater energies at play, using the astrology for the cycle map and to go, well, what are we going to do with this now? How are we going to navigate this now? What tools do I have in my toolkit? Who's around me in my community that's, potentially speaks this language? Who understands this cosmic realms of looking at from that perspective, going back to nature, thinking a Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth, feeling the earth, the bare, like, if in doubt, go bare feet on the earth, feel the connection of who you are. This human being having this earthly experience. You're a spiritual being having an earthly experience, in this physical body. um and who knows, maybe this physical existence is a dream, and then when we pass over, we wake up and it's all been a dream. And just thinking of Neptune in retrograde, and what time is doing at the moment with Saturn and Pisces. Things can get strange at these times, especially when you have big movements like this. This conjunction to this Mars and Uranus conjunction is conjunction. You can't see it here. Is conjunct a fixed star called Argyle. Oh my God, sorry, I'm just changing because my battery's about to run out. So that's good. Sorry, I just had to change cameras there. I was about to lose power. So what you can't see here on this chart is a fixed star called Algol. Now, this Mars and Uranus conjunction happens right at this point on this fixed star at 26 degrees. And it is a star of a placement at 26 degrees, is the most malefic placement of all the zodiac. It is the sign of Medusa. It represents violence. It represents, um, things happening that are bloody and like just deep and dark. But that's a very patriarchal view of astrology, I think, because Medusa is actually a symbol of feminine, dark feminine power. She was the maiden who was lured into the temple of Athena by Poseidon, and Athena did not like that, so she converted her head with snakes. And then Perseus came and chopped off Medusa's head and placed it on the shield of Athena, and became a very powerful symbol of, fierce feminine protection. So if you stood behind Athena in her battles, you would be protected. Whereas if you stood in front of it, you would turn into stone. So I feel, this Mars and Uranus conjunction, this powerful symbol of, you know, of the cycle of menstrual power, psychic power of the feminine, and like this warrior, dark feminine energy, that if we call it in, if we choose to stand behind Athena in the power of the feminine, that we will be protected by whatever happens. But if we go in the front of it, that is where the myth of the violence and the bloody violence comes from, I feel. But again, this is the beauty of astrology. We can choose the terrain of octave or energy that we can navigate through this. because we know the terrain, we know the map to choose the terrain. And so at this time, on around the 15th or in the lead up to and afterwards, whatever is happening in the world, you know, feels like a powerful spell to call in Athena for protection and to trust in her power of the warrioress. I really feel it at this time that calling on these feminine energies that have been outcasted, have been demonized, and to call on them to hold us through these times where we're calling in the trusting of the feminine wisdom. And this also is at Cancer season. There's Cancer of the mother, this feminine wisdom that's coming through at this cycle time of being protected by the great mother, trusting whatever she is calling in at this time is for the greater good of all, even if it feels like things are collapsing, because they're meant to collapse. So we can't continue the way we are. So we've got to, it's like that Chiron, we've got to allow things to come up to see it, to be transformed and healed. But until that stuff comes out, it's going to lie underneath the surface. And this is what, as we see here, Pluto moving back, Pluto also in retrograde will move back into Capricorn, where it's been since 2008. um, this is the toppling of transformation and to pull out the skeletons in the closet of top-down structures, the bones of what has been holding us up during this time. And so when Pluto moves back into Capricorn for the final hurrah, and this will last until October, November, you know, the scene is falling down. No longer can we carry this through. And so to really trust what is happening, trust what is falling away, call in the powers, that the feminine wisdom and the feminine powers for holding protection and trusting the unseen realms that we are held, and to be with it, to keep connecting back to the earth, Taurus, fixed earth, coming back to the cardinal waters, coming back to, the timelines, and keep reaching for the good timelines, keep that discipline, Saturn discipline of the dreaming of the good timelines. And, that allowing the things to come up, the pains to come up, and to move them. So this is a very important time to know what your tools are, to know your people, to know what works for you to help you through times that feel very unstable, especially Uranus in fixed earth. Uranus is here to shake things up on the earth at this time, and it's doing that. You can see it all around us. But, when we come with it with consciousness, the conscious descent, the conscious underworld, and the conscious ascent to rise up from this, this is what we've come here to do. These are the times that we've come here to do. So at this Cancer new moon, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, do your prayers, do your clear intentions of what world do you want to see your children and the future generations live in? What is nourishing to you all? And to come back to the water memory, and thinking of Veda Austin's work too, water memory of times when, the feminine culture, times that trusted the earth, who called in the powers of the feminine strength, and to come back into this, just thinking of that quietness and under the seed that sits underground, and trusting that it is being, placed in the right place for it to grow and be nourished. But it requires discipline to make sure that continues to happen. Oh, lots of things. So, so if you are liking what you're seeing, I'm about to release the Temple of Nuit Study Group Patreon group. So stay tuned for that. We've actually moved the next journey through the underworld, invoking Anana journey through the underworld to start in early August, end of July, early August. So if you are feeling the call to be fully supported during these times through letting go, releasing, and sitting in the underworld and ascending and calling in the new dreams, we start that journey very, very soon, guided by Mother Bear, of course. Here at Cancer season, Mother Bear will be our guide of nourishment and nurturing. So that will be happening. It's a 5-month journey, and that's online. And what else is happening? Oh, and the Sentient Sky podcast. Becky and I will be recording that tomorrow. We have both been sick and our families have been sick, so there's been a bit of a delay, but that will be released very, very soon. And until the next Capricorn new moon, this is a very big lead up. Capricorn new moon, exactly where this Pluto will be coming back to. So it's bringing this attention to the old and falling away and bringing in something new. Very, very powerful. I will see you at the Capricorn new moon. So much love. Journey well. Take care.